tonight, or if Edmonton just didn't have it, or if it's a little bit of both. Probably a little bit of both. Number 16, moving up 6 spots from last week. New York Islanders. Here's the weird thing. The New York Islanders record this week, so the Islanders number 16 on the board. They've only won 14 out of their 30 games, but again, I feel like they've played better. And if they played 2 periods of the game the way they played the 3rd period tonight against Montreal, they probably win that. But at any rate, the Islanders in the top 2 rows. Number 15, also moving up 6 spots, starts going in the other direction, who knows? But right now they look good. Saros' numbers have gotten a lot better. The defense has gotten a lot better. And yeah, overall they're getting the production. And Forsberg, if they keep this up, Forsberg's going to get in the conversation. I don't think he's going to win the Hart, but he's got to get in the conversation. He's playing ridiculously well right now. And in the conversation, meaning when you talk about these 10 players to win the Hart, I think Forsberg's going to be in that area, because if you look at the stats, he's been amazing. And the overtime goals and just the way he's been playing, I think it's the mustache. I do. I think the mustache makes him stronger. Number 14, down 2 spots from last week. And I really get the feeling the bottom could fall out with Washington. Washington's one of those teams that I've been asking myself, so how are they doing this? Like, how has Washington managed to stay afloat? And it really... If France continue this way, we'll be ahead of Washington next week. I don't concern myself with who they do this week, because it just turned into a mess. Because then it's, well, 2 weeks ago, these teams played and that team won, so why isn't that team ahead of this? I don't play that game. But yeah, Washington, it does feel like, the wheels could be falling off at some point soon, especially if Charlie Lindgren's numbers start to fall off, right? Lindgren's been amazing. So if his numbers start to come back down into, say, 905 kind of save percentage, that could be a problem for Washington. That being said, moving on to number 13, same spot as last week. And they've been impressive. Very impressive. And, Philadelphia is still in the top half of the board. I remember early in the season, I did that video on Philly, and I was like, are they going to be good this year? And immediately they fell apart. And so I felt bad. I did. But they've come back since then. Philadelphia Flyers, to me, look like a playoff team. I like their defense. I think that people we're definitely overrating what Provorov brought on the blue line and what losing Provorov and D'Angelo would do. But defensively, they're better this year. And I think it's just the reality of it. Plus, their goaltending is better because the defense in front of them has been better. So it's been a win-win for Philadelphia so far. And we could see them adding at the deadline. For Danny Briere, this honestly has been a perfect season for him. I think if he decided at the deadline to say, well, we're 1 point out of the playoffs, so I don't know if we're going to go for it, so we might sell off some UFAs. I don't think their fans would be mad. I really don't. I think if they said at the deadline, we're 1 point out, we're going to go for it, I don't think the fans would be mad either. I don't think there's a wrong answer here for Danny Briere. And the Flyers right now, they look like a playoff team. Number 12, moving up 2 spots from last week. New Jersey. The Devils have been quite good, and while I've heard some other comments about the Devils, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, and I think they will. I think they're playing quite well. I think Jack Hughes is rounding into form. He had a hat-trick tonight. Schmidt's giving them good numbers. I understand that people are still talking about needing a goalie, and I'm not saying they don't. They absolutely will likely be adding a goaltender. John Gibson would seem to be the most obvious name that's out there, but I don't think there's any hurry. They're 16, 11, and 1. They're playing well. Things have kind of turned around, and we'll see how long it takes for people to really recognize. Been very good. Obviously, today they waived Antti Raanta, and Ranta's play has not been good. So Raanta has cost the games. I'm going to straight up say it. Raanta needs to make a save that was a meme on this channel 5-6 years ago. Right now, kind of where we're at. And Raanta has not been making the saves they've needed. So as a team, I still believe they're number 11. I understand their record hasn't necessarily been number 11. But goaltending has dragged them down. Now, they're going to have to take dramatic steps, and it feels like waving Ron is the first of what's going to be pretty dramatic steps for Carolina, and I'll have to report on that tomorrow. We'll talk about who comes in for Carolina once Ron is waved and sent down, and what that's going to do to their goaltending. And I remember reading from Elliot Friedman the name of the goaltender that it's believed that they're bringing up. The name escapes me right now. I apologize. I'm old. So, yeah, number 11, Carolina. Number 10, same spot as last week, but I'm concerned. I have a lot of concern when it comes to the Dallas Stars. Dallas without Ottinger, it's going to be tough to get wins. And I'm not saying that as a slight to Wedgwood. It's just the team plays well in front of Otter, and Ottinger's been playing up and down, but he's been playing a little bit better lately. So the injury came at a bad time. They did come back and win that game. They lose tonight against St. Louis. St. Louis really needed that game. They're getting the coaching bump, so I didn't move Dallas down. But Dallas is in a position right now where this upcoming week is a big one as we get into the Christmas break. So next week, I'll be doing the power rankings and then no hockey for 3 days. So that'll be fun. But yeah, Dallas really needs over the next week to overcome the fact that, that Wedgwood's the goalie. And at this point, the emergency backup goaltender was their backup tonight. Is that going to happen again? I hope not. It's one thing with the salary cap that just kind of drives me crazy. I think the emergency call-up should just be, you should be allowed to have a player on your roster because this guy's hurt. Makes sense. But at this point, we'll see how long it takes before Dallas calls up a guy. But it doesn't matter because Wedgwood's going to be the goalie. I don't think there's anybody. Obviously, there's Matt Murray in Texas. They could call him up. That would throw people off and be like, wait, Matt Murray, I thought he was out. But, yeah, they have the other Matt Murray. We'll see if he comes up and if he gets any games. Number 9, dropping 3 spots from last week. And it would have been more. However, with the win tonight, Florida prevents themselves from dropping a little bit further. Plus, at this point, I couldn't justify having Florida below Dallas or Carolina. So that's where I'm at with that. Florida drops out of the top row. But the win tonight against Edmonton was impressive after back-to-back shutouts against them by Vancouver and by Seattle. The Seattle one stung. The Vancouver one, Vancouver's pretty good at protecting a shutout in the third period this year. I never thought I'd do today. I said that on this channel. But that win against Edmonton tonight, that was impressive for Florida and prevented me from having to make a decision about does Dallas move up or does Carolina move up, because I don't feel like Florida should be beneath them. I don't want to have like overly wild, crazy move. Because again, and this is where I'll come back to Edmonton on this for a second. So Edmonton gets bumped way up, right? And there's other power rankings that got bumped way up when they started winning. This is why it's a gradual climb. Because they won 8 in a row, they got up to 17. They lose 2 in a row, they stay 7. Right? So to me, they're 1 game below 500. I think 17 is the guy. That's why it's a gradual climb. It's not just really, really ridiculous climb and drop. The way I used to do the power rankings, it was just straight up who won and who lost, and my power rankings from 1 week to the next were chaos. Every week it was a different team at number 1. Every week everybody moved 5 or 6 spots. The power rankings meant nothing. So I feel like the power rankings now are better. That's why I feel like, you should do it different. No, because when I've done it different, I've not been happy with the results. I tried that early this season. So we get into the top row. And these are the teams that right now are, I think, playing the best hockey. Number 8, dropping 1 spot from last week. And it's interesting because every week people say I underrate Boston. The problem is, Boston, they get the win over the Islanders last night. Not their best game. They lose against the Rangers tonight. They took way too many penalties. They've just been kind of one up and one down and kind of meandering after that great start to the season. And that's where those great starts are really important. But it definitely makes the record look better than I think how they're playing right now. So to me, the Bruins at 8 is about right. And if Pastrnak gets suspended, I don't know where the goals are going to come from while he's out. But down in this region. if Boston had just average goaltending, I really don't think Boston would be in that top, anywhere near that top row. They'd still be winning games, but they wouldn't be in the top row. Number 7, and threatening to drop out of the top row. They are threatening to drop out of the top row. Colorado. They dropped 2 spots from last week. Colorado, there's been some struggles now. Of course, without Makar, that's going to hurt too. They didn't have Makar in the lineup tonight, but still, it's a 6-2 loss in Winnipeg, and they haven't quite looked like the Avs lately. And again, you have an 82-game schedule. You're going to have teams go through this period where they're not necessarily bringing their A game. I do expect Colorado to be a top team at the end of the season. I expect them to be very tough out in the playoffs. And if you told me, hey, this coming June, Colorado's going to win the Stanley Cup, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. I think almost any team in this top row you can make the argument for. But yeah, Colorado ends up 7th this week. Number 6, moving up 3 spots from last week. It was quite the win tonight, wasn't it? So the Toronto Maple Leafs moved back up into the top row for the first time in a while. Just looking at, it's been a while since Toronto was in the top row, but they belong here. They're 16, 6, and 6, so that's a lot of 6s. And they started getting regulation wins. So everybody was just dunking on them. They don't win in regulation. It's not going to matter. They don't win in regulation. Now they started winning in regulation. The funny part is we don't say that in playoffs. We don't say, well, that team won all 4 games in that round, but all 4, they were in overtime. So, the next round they're going to get killed because they can't win in regulation. We don't make that argument in the postseason, but we'll make it in the regular season. It's awesome. I understand that's what decides who finishes where, is if the team's tied has the same number of wins that regulation is not going to decide, but if you win a whole bunch of games, you get a bunch of points. And for Toronto right now, they're in the who cares category. They've only lost 6 in regulation so far out of 28, so that's pretty good. Next up, number 5 on the board, and moving up 3 spots from last week. Vancouver. Yeah, I'll use this puck this week. The Vancouver Canucks, that's the genealogic theme, the Aboriginal theme magnet, or puck. Sorry, I have magnets of this as well. But yeah, the Canucks had a really good week. They won 4 in a row coming into the game against Minnesota. They lose that game in a shootout. I don't penalize them for losing in a shootout in Minnesota. Minnesota's been playing relatively well lately. So for Vancouver, this is a season. They won 4 in a row coming into that game, and they looked good. So for Vancouver, they're back in the top row. I did not see that coming. I didn't think in December of this year I'd have Vancouver in the top row. If you told me that, I would have said, why? Or I would have just said, is it based on right now, or am I doing a retrospective on the 2010s or the 2000s, or how did they end up in the top row? And I just say that because this is a team that's defied gravity for a long time this year, and they look legit. Check that interview I did with Ted Ramey there. I said, I think the Canucks are legit. I believe them. I don't even worry about jinxing at this point, so that's where we're at. Number 4, dropping 1 spot from last week. Just 1. So, for the Jets, they're number 4 this week. They were number 3 last week. They did not have a bad week. Here's the thing. They beat the Kings after losing against San Jose, and then they come home and they beat Colorado. That's an impressive week. For me, what happened was there was a team that passed them who was having a better month. And so, Winnipeg ends up 4th this week, but they're legit. They're a contender, and if Winnipeg keeps playing the way they've been playing, they are going to be really tough in the playoffs. I'm kind of excited about how well some of these Canadian teams could play in the playoffs. I'm going to get disappointed again, obviously, because Canadian teams don't win in the playoffs. But Winnipeg looks really good right now. That 6-2 win against Colorado, nobody can say that was a fluke. The win against LA, nobody can say that was a fluke. And then there's that loss against San Jose that just, I'm kind of treating that like, well, that was just their down game. I don't know. Number 3, also dropping 1 spot from last week. The New York Rangers. So the Rangers no longer in first place on the board, but they're still top 3 and they're still playing well. They get the victory tonight in overtime against the Boston Bruins. This is what will happen when Boston gives them all those power plays. Same as the game before, they were drawing a bunch of power plays against Anaheim, and the Rangers are very good on the power play. So, the Rangers, I'm impressed with what they've been doing. They are still top 3 on the board. It's just a matter of the team that's number 2 is one that, just looking at the stats over the last month, Las Vegas Golden Knights have been very good. Vegas has been really strong, really quite good, and would be number one, if not for that loss against Buffalo, and the fact they didn't look great in that third period against Buffalo, so like, second is the right spot for them this week. And so we'll see. And it's funny because on the camera, just that looks like it's made all the rest of them look good. Wow. But anyways, I love that puck. If I could find that puck with all 32 teams, absolutely that'd be what I'd be doing every week. It looks great on the camera. But Vegas is number 2 this week, which means number 1. And it surprises me too. So if you're saying, well, that's kind of a surprise, I'm right there with you. The Canes are there back-to-back weeks. So we have the Rangers number 1 3 weeks in a row. Now the Canes are number 1 in back-to-back weeks. Yes, the Rangers beat the Canes earlier in the week. Rangers had also a setback during the week, and things happened. But again, if not for the loss last night, Vegas would be number 1. That setback last night, combined with LA, ends up getting those 2 points tonight when they need them. They get the win. Plus, I thought the Cord really did his best to try and steal that one from Seattle tonight. I thought LA outplayed them for most of that game. So LA is playing quite well, and on the road we know they're really, really strong. But yeah, I think these top 8 teams, any of these 8 teams, you can make an argument for them being able to go on a run in the playoffs right now. Right now. April, we could have a whole other discussion. But for right now, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, in the comment section below, tell me who I hate. Because every week there's somebody that I'm hating on. And I guess it might be Arizona. But again, the shutout's over.